right, I wanted to give you a little taste for what you'll learn in my online course. So if you're wondering if it's right for you, you can grab your pencil and draw along with me. Now, the course is an introduction to cartooning, but it's also about thinking creatively. So if you want to be able to design your own cool characters and develop your own style, then this is the course for you. The lessons are more than just a step-by-step. I'm going to show you how I approach each drawing, how I play with ideas, and the kinds of questions I ask myself if I get stuck in my drawing. So you'll be able to do the same thing if you're working on your own. Now, the exercise I'm going to show you is one from my section on capturing expression. It's about 20 minutes long, and all you need is a pencil and paper. I promise it's fun, and I think you're going to be surprised at what you're able to produce. All right, let's get drawing. We're going to be looking at capturing expression, like I was explaining. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use Blob, okay? A super simple character. Actually one of my favorite characters, but you know, can't play favorites. So the good thing about Blob is that he's easy to draw. We could even do this exercise with just shapes, but it's more fun when it's an actual character, because I find when I instead of just playing around with, you know, with shapes and drawing faces on them, if I have an actual character, in behind it I have in my head a personality for the character and something that he might be you know, thinking or expressing. So that's why I'm going to use an actual character for this exercise. We're going to draw Blob, let's say 6 times, and in each different drawing I'm going to change his expression. Now, the tricky thing about this is that Blob doesn't have any eyebrows. And one of the big things in being able to change expression and show expression on characters is both changing their eyebrows. So we don't have that option here, okay? Blob doesn't get eyebrows. The other thing that's tricky about Blob is that his mouth, you see, is actually quite low down in his blobby body. So there's also not a lot of room for me to play with his mouth, okay, in terms of, you know, lowering it down or raising it up or moving it around. But let's see what we can do. Okay, so we have some challenges here, but it's also a good one for seeing just what you can do with just varying eyes and a mouth. Okay, so here we go. So grab your pencils and let's give ourselves, I'm just going to sketch out, this is rough, we're not going to be inking this. I'm going to sketch myself out 2 lines, okay, because I'm going to do 3, I'm going to put 3 blobs on each line. There we go. Okay, so just a rough few lines, and it's usually easiest to gauge the center of a page. So I do that, and I draw in my where my blob shapes in the center of my page. Oopsies. Blob shapes here. Okay, blob shape here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm making them all, or I'm going to attempt to make them all approximately the same shape and size, so that I can pay attention to what I'm changing each time and what works for changing his expression, all right? Because you're going to want to be able to do this and apply this idea to your own characters that you create, all right? So here we go. I've got my 6 blobs started, so they should all be about the same. Sketch. Now I'm going to start with regular blob, okay? So regular blob like I had in our little drawing here, and I'll do him up here. And I'm going to do that because then we're going to see how he looks in comparison to the expressions we draw. So Blob, you draw your Blob. Remember, you can always draw your characters however you like, but Blob has 2 oval eyes. All right, they're set fairly far apart on his blobby body. So there we are, and he's got a little smile at his center. Okay, fairly narrow little smile at his center, and then the pupils of his eyes are about halfway through this oval and slightly towards the inside, okay? This gives him the look of being a little bit cuter versus if I put the pupil right in the center of the oval. So that's Blob's everyday normal Blob. Here he is, and if I want to, I can darken down my lines. So once I've done my little sketch, I'll just darken down the lines that I like, that I feel are really blob. There he is. Perfect. How do you not love blob? All right. So we've got our first little blobby sketch. Now, how about we do blob surprised? Okay. So I'm gonna do. So I start off the same. I'm gonna do blob surprised here. This is surprised. Okay, surprised blob. So I'm going to start with his eyes. Okay, so I rough them in. Okay, and I'm roughing them in. So I rough in sketching my ovals, approximately where they were before. Okay, it won't be exact, but there we go. Approximately where they were before. And then I think about surprise. Okay, the look of surprise. So in surprise, your eyes widen, okay? So it's possible that I can make Blob's eyes a little taller, okay? So when I go to finalize my line on Blob's eyes, I might make them a little bit more open. I'm also going to take his pupil, okay, and I'm going to make it more centered in my oval, because the eyes are wide open, so the pupil is going to be more centered. I think this is going to give him more of a look of surprise. So just that little change, a taller oval and the pupil in the center, and a simple mouth. So I can't do too much with his mouth. I'm not going to do too much with his mouth. I'm just going to give him a little tiny oval, okay? He's like, that's it. Little tiny oval. I'm blackening it right in. And now I'm going to do his eyes. Okay, eyes. And let's see if this is enough to make Blob look surprised. And then I can go over darken down the lines I like. I could even maybe raise his forehead a little bit. You know, I could make him look a tiny bit taller. Like everything's gone a bit up. Everything's gotten a little stretched. He's stretched up, his eyes have gone wider, and his mouth has gone into a little O. I think Blob looks pretty surprised there. All right, what could we do next? I think I'm going to do him a little bit cranky. How about, he's going to be a little bit grumpy, okay? This is going to be Blob. He's going to be a little bit grumpy. This is going to be grumpy Blob. So I'm going to give him, again, I start the same, okay? So he's facing me. I'm gonna rough in where my eyes normally would go, okay? So where they would normally go, and then I'm gonna alter them a bit. And he's a little bit grumpy. So I don't have eyebrows, but what I can do is, well, he's got a blobby forehead, so why not, you know, he's angry. So if I was drawing eyebrows, I'd draw cranky eyebrows in like this, right? But I like I said, I don't have that option, so I'll get rid of that. But what I can do is drop the tops of his eyelid, right? As if I can pretend like he's got a blobby eyelid. So I drop those in. I could angle the eyes a little bit, right? Maybe they would angle as if as if your brow would come in, you know what I mean? If you're a person, your brow might come in there, so your eyes might get a little bit narrower. So maybe I just angle the eyes in a little bit, okay? Basically, just knocking off the top of his eye, so it looks like he's got an eyebrow. And then I just need a little grumpy face. I can make it centered, so I can make it symmetrical or in the center, but I think I'm going to take it just a little bit off center, and just not a big frown, just a slight frown. And it's simply just a line, as if he's got his lips scrunched together, like pressed together, I should say, pressed together. And I'm to my pupils. So pupils here were in the center, pupils here were a little bit towards the inside. I'm going to do the same thing. He's cross, he's grumpy. So his pupil is come a little bit inwards, as if he's looking and focused right ahead, okay? Now I'm happy with that. As soon as I'm happy with approximately where my sketch line is, then I can darken that down, okay? And like I said, these are just little sketches. So there he is. And I darken down his body. Okay, so there's... I could maybe even have made him a little bit shorter here. I could maybe have dropped his Blob's forehead down, you know, and he might have looked even grumpier. But I think he looks pretty grumpy there. So next, let's do, we've got grumpy. Let's make him have a bit of fun. Let's make him have a bit of fun. Blob's going to be playful in this one, all right? So I start the same. All right, I start the same. Where my eyes would normally be. And then, well, I want it to be playful. So if it were a character with a head, I might tilt the head a bit. But what I can do instead is that maybe I shift, he's a blob, right? So maybe I shift him as if he's leaning a bit in, you know, he's leaning a bit in. I could go like this, okay? So I change his shape to be a little bit over, you know, like as if he's leaning a little bit over. And then I think if I want to look a bit fun, maybe I tilt the eyes, right? Everything here, the eyes have been straight on and they've been symmetrical, okay? But here, what if I make him look more playful? What if I play with the eyes, okay? Maybe there, this one I angle it in. See, I bring it up and I angle it in. Maybe this one I angle it over, so he's looking over here at something and having a bit of fun. So maybe that's it. Maybe his pupils are looking up, okay, up. There he is, pupils looking up. And here, see, I lopped off the top of his eye to make him look cranky or grumpy. What if I do the opposite? As if I lop off the bottom of his eye, okay, like this, yeah. As if his cheeks have come up. Maybe he's got a fun little smile, you know? A fun little smile. And look at, I take the smile and I make it asymmetrical. So on the side. You see, I've pulled it over to the side. And then like there, it's as if his cheek has come up into him. And does he look, hopefully he looks a bit playful, like he's leaning in, you know? So I vary the things that I can. So I change... You know, I change what I can for him. Let's darken it down. Okay, once I'm happy with my positioning of my character's eyes, and definitely for playful, I think the most important is eyes. I don't know, that sideways smile is pretty good too. But there we go. All right, playful. Oops, I haven't written it. Playful blob. We've done surprise, we've done grumpy. Could Blob be, he could be a bit nervous. He could be nervous. Let's do nervous. Blob's going to be nervous. So he's almost the opposite of playful. I start with, so here's my normal blob. Okay, here's my normal blob. Here's with his normal style of eyes, and his mouth would be there. All right. Now, instead of leaning into, here the character, he's leaning into what he's, you know, interested in and where he's looking. What about the opposite? What if I lean him away? Okay, so he's nervous of something, so he's going to lean away from it. So I change his blobbiness to be like this. A little bit away. Same with the eyes, okay? They pull back, okay? Because he's nervous of what he's seeing here. Okay, so I pull the eyes back. So I'm angling them this way. And both of them, you know, away, right? Away from what he's looking at. So he's looking here. So his pupils are here on this side, because he's seeing it, right? He's seeing, maybe he's looking at, I don't quite have him angled at Grumpy Blob, but there he is. So he's leaning away, all right? Now, I also want him to look a little bit worried. So his mouth, it's going to be small. Maybe he's got his teeth, you know, you might grate your teeth open a little bit. Like imagine, like feel your own face, what you would do if you were a little bit nervous. Okay, maybe, and same thing, maybe the mouth is a little bit to the side, it's pulled back from what he's looking at. You know, there maybe it's a little bit down, just a little. His teeth are a little bit open. There he is. And his eyes, I haven't quite finished his eyes because I was thinking, oh, I want it to look a little bit worried, right? I don't want it to be down here. I'm just taking off a little bit of the bottom of this eye, okay? Not here where I almost did the opposite of a smile, right? With his cheeks coming up. Here. You can see it better if I do that. With his cheeks coming up. But here, where I want it to almost look like the eyes pulled down. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. Same with on this slide. The eyes pulled down, and it's not a big eye, right? It's not like we did here. It's a medium size. It's not even as big as this eye. Hopefully that's what I've done. There we go. And maybe Blob's got he may have a couple of drips of sweat coming down. I mean, oh, there it is. Does he look a bit nervous? So now that I'm happy with my character, oh, there he is. I darken down my lines. Just a small mouth, right? It's a small mouth. It's not a wide open mouth. He's nervous. There he is, pulling back from what he's looking at. Nervous, and oh yeah, a couple drips of sweat. Who says he's a blob? He can sweat. There he is. So Blob is got our nervous blob. Okay, the last, let's see, I'm thinking hopeful, happy, or furious blob. Shall we do, I'm going to do hopeful, okay? Hopeful. So again, I begin with my normal blob eyes, And hopeful, I think he's going to be looking up, okay? That's going to be my idea, is that he's looking up, feeling hopeful. So I'm picturing the pupils up there. And I'm thinking about how to change my eyes. So I can definitely give him a bigger smile. And I think since I'm having him look up, I'm keeping him symmetrical in terms of his shape, all right? And maybe I could maybe make his shape a little bit more up. So maybe I make it feel like it's a bit like he's grown a bit taller, okay? So I could do that. Maybe I make his shape a bit taller. I want everything to go up a little bit. I'm thinking that might change his shape nicely. And he's going to have a bigger smile like that. So a little bit wider than his normal smile. And his eyes, so that might bring his cheeks up, right, in a happy kind of a way. So I picture his cheeks coming up, which takes off the bottom of his eye like that. And then I go over his eyes, and I think I want his eyes, so as I've ballooned out his blobby body, I can also maybe angle his eyes out to fill up that space a little bit, you know? So the eyes go out. It's an opening, right? Opening hopeful feeling. So there we go. I think I'm happy with that. Then pupils go in. And shape of his eyes, even those feel open, right? They're a little bit smaller at the base and wider at the top. Bigger smile for Blob. And there we go. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can really, hopeful, I gotta write down hopeful Blob. Of course this is normal Blob. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can really change a character's expression, even when they're a very simple character, like just the shape of a blob, and when you don't even have eyebrows or as many features, you don't have hands, you don't have anything to work with, but there's definitely enough. When you look at how different these characters, the feeling is in each of them. You know, our surprised Blob, where he's got just eyes a little taller and pupils into the center, simple little open mouth, and he looks surprised, right? Little bit of a change in his shape. Grumpy Blob, just there, like, you know, I don't have eyebrows, but I can lop off the top of his eyes, right? Bring him in, angle his eyes in, make him look a little cranky. Playful, right? I can shift the body around, or the blob around. I can change the symmetry of the eyes, right? I take them from being like this and I move them onto an angle, right? Same with his body. It goes from being straight like this blob to being onto an angle. Nervous, I do the opposite. I move him away from what he's looking at, right? So he's moving away, he's stationary, but his body moves away, and his eyes and everything, his mouth, everything moves away. And then hopeful blob, I open him up. I open up his shape, I open up his eyes, I open up his mouth. So there you go. I hope you found that fun, and I hope it gave you a good idea for what you'll learn in the online course. If you want to know more, check out the overview. It'll give you a complete breakdown of the curriculum. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment in the section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I hope to see you in the Cartoon Club online course.